Am I the asshole for not being present for a once-in-a-lifetime trip? A while ago my family, mom, dad and older sister, and I, 19M, went on a trip to Europe. We had been planning it for the better part of a year, watched all the travel vlogs we could, researched places to go, made itineraries, the works. My mom and sister especially put a lot of effort into planning the trip and did a really great job at doing everything. A few days before the trip I had an appointment with my doctor. Without going into too many details, he referred me to a specialist because he thought it might be cancer. He said that it was probably nothing to worry about, but it was better to be safe than sorry in the case that it was cancer. Unfortunately, I couldn't get an appointment with the specialist until after the trip. My family was great and super supportive, and promised me that everything was going to be okay. I really didn't want it to ruin the trip. I like to think that I'm a pretty chill guy. I don't let a lot of stuff get to me and I can usually put things to the back of my mind and not think about them. This time, I was worried. Even though the doctor said it was probably nothing, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was really wrong. I was okay when we were busy because I could distract myself, but in any downtime I kind of spiraled. Whenever we weren't talking and were waiting in a line, or on a bus driving somewhere, or at the hotel or something, I couldn't stop spiraling. It started with convincing myself that it absolutely was cancer, then to what treatment would be like, then to that I was probably going to die, and before I knew it I was planning my funeral. I know, it was super dramatic, but that's where my mind went. Here's where I might be the asshole. To distract myself, I downloaded a bunch of books onto my phone and read anytime I started to think about it, aka anytime I was left to think. My parents noticed I was reading and asked why, and I told them, so they left me to it for a little while, but then my mom and sister started to make comments about how I wasn't present. I tried to tone it down, but I couldn't get it out of my head, so ended up reading like 6 books in the couple of weeks we spent in Europe. Eventually, my mom and sister took to clicking their fingers in my face and saying that I was not present again. I want to stress that I would only do this when we weren't doing anything, so I put the phone away for all of the activities and tours, or when my parents were letting me have a beer because the drinking age is like 18 in Europe, and stuff. I also made sure to put it away when someone was talking to me. It was just when I had enough time to think. We got back and I had my appointment and it luckily wasn't cancer. My mom drove me to the appointment and on the way home she said something like, "I bet you feel stupid for not being present on our trip." I told her how scared I was, but we got into an argument and she said I ruined the trip. So am I the asshole? Dude, your family kinda sucks. I can't even imagine being more concerned with how I feel about a trip than if my family member has cancer. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. But wow, your family really sounds like unconcerned assholes. Is this level of unkindness normal for them? Do you have a history of catastrophizing, which would desensitize them, but wouldn't excuse their behavior still? I say this as someone who was referred to an oncologist and did have cancer and went through treatment, so I know exactly how scary those pre-diagnosis days are. Glad it wasn't cancer for you. Not the asshole. Your mom called you stupid because you were concerned about cancer? If anything, your mom and sister ruined the trip for being so concerned if you were present. Not the asshole. Glad you don't have cancer. It was your vacation too. Getting mad because you were reading and trying to relax is ridiculous. It's not your job to provide constant stimulation to others. As an introvert I would hate being treated like that. Not the asshole. My kids are your age. I can't imagine even having gone on the trip. I would have cancelled and been calling everywhere every single day to get in on a cancellation as soon as possible. No way would I be enjoying a vacation knowing one of my kids could have cancer. Not the asshole. Even without this huge thing weighing on you. Nothing wrong with reading during wait times. Am I the asshole for keeping groceries in my cupboard and lying about it to my roommates? I, 23F, live with my boyfriend, 22M, my best friend, 21F, and her boyfriend, 24M. I have been working at a new job for about 7 months. I get a regular salary for starting at the bottom, so I can basically just afford simple monthly expenses such as rent, utilities and groceries. My boyfriend is studying his degree and helps with bills from money he earns from a part-time job and that his parents give him for his allowance. My best friend helps out with bills from an allowance she gets from her parents as she is also still studying her degree. The three of us decided to rent an apartment together as it was a more affordable option. We discussed that we would split the bills between us equally. This arrangement was working well until my best friend's boyfriend moved in. He repeatedly stated that he would also help with the bills, but until he found a job he could only help with groceries. We all agreed this was okay, but also said that he couldn't stay here forever without bringing his side. I started to notice over time that the groceries I was buying were disappearing, but at a faster rate than what they should be. I asked my boyfriend, but he said that he genuinely didn't take any extra groceries. My boyfriend and I are really trying to save money for the future, and so we budget everything down to the groceries. I don't mean that we go hungry to save money, I just mean that we don't eat 900 grams T-bone steaks every night. Then, I noticed that my BF's boyfriend was treating himself to his meals when in the kitchen with my groceries. I let it go on for a while until I no longer had food to eat myself and had no money to buy more. I called a house meeting in which I stated that I was not happy with this whole issue, to which they, my BFs and her boyfriend, stated they would buy their own food from then on and we would no longer share. After that, food didn't disappear as much but was still finishing faster than it should. I then started keeping my groceries in my cupboard in my bedroom. I hate confrontation, and so when I needed something from my cupboard I would make sure they weren't there to see, but I bumped into my best friend's boyfriend while carrying some groceries out of my room. They then started to ask if I had extra groceries that they could have, e.g. bread, to which I would say no, which was lying as I did have bread but for work sandwiches. It's been about 1 month now and my BFs and her boyfriend both feel cold towards me still, and I often catch them whispering and stop when my boyfriend or I enter. I am not sure if this was maybe the wrong solution for the problem, but I don't see how I now have to be treated like a villain because my groceries are in my cupboard. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Just say, sorry, I thought we agreed we would each buy our own groceries. Therefore I only buy enough to feed myself. You should probably stop tiptoeing around, as if you had something to feel guilty about. You don't, and this incident suggests that you simply aren't going to be able to avoid a confrontation, so center yourself and prepare and stand your ground. And move out as soon as it is financially feasible. Not the asshole. When people are such mooches that you have to hide your groceries, that's a them problem, not a you problem. I would look at moving out as soon as you can. That kind of behavior won't stop on its own. Not the asshole. It sucks that your friend's boyfriend doesn't have a job, but that's their problem. You aren't the food bank. They need to find a solution to their problem and shouldn't be stealing your food. NTA. And let me guess, he still isn't paying his share of bills either? Doesn't matter for this, I guess, but if he's not paying bills he needs to move out, and if he is paying his share of bills he is still not allowed to eat your food. You can't allow people to make you feel bad for preventing them from stealing from you as much as they used to. Easier said than done, but please be realistic here. When they ice you out, that just shows them from an even worse light. I don't see how I now have to be treated like a villain because my groceries are in my cupboard. Because you stopped their free access to your stuff which you bought, which is of course your fault. Entitled people like this always think they are in the right when taking other people's stuff and always get upset when you stop them. Not the asshole, and who cares what they think at this point if this is how they feel. Not the asshole, and this is a good lesson for your future. Don't agree to share housing with someone who doesn't already have an income to pay their fair share. Am I the asshole for making my girlfriend cry after trying to teach her to set a boundary? My 20M girlfriend, Lily, 18F, and I have been together for 2 years. For context, I'm an MMA fighter and she's a Muay Thai fighter, an absolute vicious wee thing, but she's the softest, most gentle person in the world. To the point it's worrying. She doesn't apply her toughness in any other aspect of her life. Lily feels bad for the absolute scum of the earth. She's had a traumatic childhood and so she's afraid of people's anger. If someone crosses her boundaries she makes justifications for them. I'm so thankful that it's me who's with her and she's safe, because so many men would take advantage of her in my position. Last night, she told me about a guy from work who won't leave her alone. He crosses physical boundaries and I'm only just hearing about it. Lily told me she just says things like, "What are you doing?" and pulls herself away, because she's scared of how he's going to react and he's a lot bigger than her. I got her to demonstrate and had me pretend to be the guy. She said it in the softest voice you can imagine. I was getting her to practice on me by saying loudly and clearly, "Fuck off and leave me alone." A lot of guys like that are cowards, and something as simple as that and gets them to fuck off. My sister has been in similar situations. Lily started crying, saying that she just can't bring her voice louder and she doesn't like that I'm forcing her to shout. I felt guilty instantly, so we went to bed and I told her we can talk about it in the morning. Edit. Can't believe all of the people saying and DMing me that I'm some future rap saint abuser manipulator, and that I infantilize my girlfriend because I said, "We thing, I'm Scottish FFS." Knew I shouldn't have downloaded Reddit again. This is interesting. You're coaching your partner in assertiveness. She hasn't asked you for this coaching. Everything you know about her tells you that if she didn't want the coaching, she wouldn't offer much resistance to it. Have you paused to consider what Lily wants? Surely she doesn't like this guy at work treating her this way, but she may be interested in finding her own solution, or finding a different one. It really sounds like you consider this your problem to solve, and like you don't see how you're forcing her to practice resembles her coworker's failure to respect her boundaries. For that you're an though surely your heart is in the right place. You are the asshole. We thing? Ew. You are the asshole. Not only could you get her in trouble at work, but you are pushing her into a dangerous situation. No amount of training aids victims if the size difference is above a certain threshold. Your inner fighter doesn't fit every social situation, and trying to make her handle this, like you would, is blindly leading her into something she may come into harm's way. Go through the proper work channels to report this guy and stop trying to train her. Be her support partner and know full well, you aren't qualified on how women should defend themselves to sexual harassment. Perhaps instead of focusing on the physical altercation, just have her go to HR and report she feels unsafe. Ask for measures to ensure she is not alone with this individual. Asking your girlfriend to escalate is not the safest move here, even though it may give you the most satisfaction to have him confronted directly. You mean take advantage of her by imposing their will on her and try to make her do something that makes her feel uncomfortable? Because that's exactly what you're doing. It's well-intentioned, but you need to let her handle this in her own way and not your way. Assertiveness from a smaller POV is not always about being loud and sounding vicious, not even someone trained to fight. Assertiveness in this case means document and report and let the law deal with it. You are being the opposite of supportive, pretty much doing the same thing he is, trying to dominate her and force her behavior into a pattern you like. You are the asshole. Look outside your skill set. The way you would handle this isn't the only way, it's not even the best way for a guy like you to handle a bully, and it's a stupid way for a small person to do so. Up an octave means higher, not louder. Am I the asshole for contacting my now adult godchild after her mother told me not to? My high school best friend got pregnant when we were in our early 20s. The baby's dad was not someone she knew well and honestly handled the whole thing very well. He understood why she wanted me at medical appointments, etc. Just asked I tell him if there was anything urgent he needed to know. They decided to try and make it work and were together for a few years. He always wanted to get married and have more kids, but she turned him down. I was there a lot, an aunt to their daughter, Elle, and very much loved them all. When they broke up I tried not to take sides, but obviously saw a lot less of Elle's dad. I stayed pretty active in Elle's life and mostly saw her on her mom's weeks. They alternated for 50-50 time. Elle's dad got married and had more kids, and I was happy as that's always what he wanted, and Elle's mom never quite forgave me for not being angry. He moved on, so I saw Elle less. About 7 years ago Elle's mom also married. I went to the wedding and was thrilled to spend more time with Elle again, though I was uncomfortable with her new stepdad. Turns out my instincts were right. Shortly after the wedding Elle's mom picked a silly fight and blocked me. I tried reaching out a few years ago for our 40th birthdays, only a few days apart, and got a not subtle message that I was a horrible influence and had different values, and to never speak to her or her daughter again. Elle is 21 now, studying at a university, and I know bits of her life from mutual friends. I miss her. I grieve the little girl I once never went more than a few days without seeing. Am I the asshole if I reach out to her directly? Should I try and contact her dad, who I haven't spoken to in a decade, instead? Or should I just let it go? I'm pretty sure stepdad is very controlling and conservative, and he didn't like that I'm the opposite, but my friend used to agree with me. I don't have hopes of getting my friend back as she's made her choice, but I hate my goddaughter thinking I just abandoned her. TLDR. My ex-friend married a jerk and kept me away from my goddaughter I love. Should I contact her now that she's an adult, or let it go as to not cause problems with her mom? Not the asshole. She didn't kick you out of her life. Her stepfather influenced her mother too. You don't have to respect a friend who no longer respects you. No harm in, I've missed you and wanted to say that if you were interested I'd love to keep in contact. She can ignore you or reach out as she chooses. Not the asshole. Your goddaughter is now an adult and no longer under her parents' control. You are free to reach out to her independently. She might appreciate it. She's 21, an adult. You're not crossing any moral line by reaching out. Just keep it gentle, low pressure, and respect you. Not the asshole. The daughter is an adult now. If you want to reach out to her, do it. But if she doesn't want to have a relationship, then don't push it. Not the asshole for reaching out. However, if your goddaughter tells you she does not want contact, you have to respect that. Not the asshole, but wait a while to contact Elle. If she is in college, she is probably financial dependent upon her mom and stepdad. When, not if, they find out that she is in contact with you, they could cut her off. You don't want to throw so much drama into her life until she is out of school and working. I think that your idea of contacting the father has a lot of merit. Assuming that he has stayed in contact with Elle all these years, he can give you current information on Elle's status and advice on how and when to contact her.